Back in 1993, at the age of 16, I came to California as a first-generation immigrant to go to school at Stanford University. I was known for being a banana, yellow on the outside, white on the inside. I wanted to move away from my Thai Chinese heritage and my life in Asia and become someone completely different. I wanted to be white. As I rose up the ranks in Silicon Valley, I emulated this traditional command and control style of leadership, putting on this armor of inspired passion and supreme confidence that I would always know how to solve the problem. I didn't want to consider the intersectionality of race and gender and how it was actually core to my leadership. I didn't want to be an other. I didn't want to face the stereotypes. Stereotype 1, good worker bees, bad leaders. Asian Americans comprise 57% of the tech workforce, yet are vastly underrepresented in the top leadership positions. Asian women have a double bind of race and gender, and according to US employment data, they, along with Black women, are the least likely to be promoted to the top positions. It's a double glass ceiling reinforced with rigid bamboo bars. In my research interviews, I talked to many women who described others calling them hardworking worker bees, but not strategic, creative, or outspoken enough to be made managers. And some parts of stereotypes exist because they're true. I spoke to 27 women from 16 countries, and when asked about values, 100% of them said hardworking. Many of us are familiar with the immigrant mentality of quietly hustling to get the job done. There's a Japanese saying, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. Stereotype 2, Asian Americans already have privilege as the model minority. It's a cultural expectation placed upon this group of immigrants that each of us will be smart, hardworking, and obedient. There's a pressure to live up to this stereotype. This might be born from the Asian cultural value of education. 70% of Asian Americans have a college degree, as opposed to 38% of the general population. But a model minority is still a minority. Asian Americans are people of color, viewed as more privileged than Black, Latino, or Indigenous women, yet still an other. It shows up in the smallest of ways, in the safety of a corporate workplace, when somebody says, "Oh, your English, it's so good." And it shows up in larger ways outside this bubble when we live in fear that our parents or us may be randomly targeted on the streets with the recent uptick in anti-Asian violence. While parts of stereotypes may be true, we can choose to move beyond them. I spent 22 years in the corporate world as a design leader. I'm now in my second career as an executive coach to women, people of color, and immigrants. I'm here to tell you that we can move beyond our model minority status and step into an integrated leadership that honors our lineage values and modern workplaces. This message isn't just for Asian women. I'm going to share 3 universal strategies for how to lead when you feel like an other in the corporate world. Strategy 1, move from humility to advocacy. I spent many years when I worked in a large tech company having career conversations with Asian women on my team. I noticed that some of them seemed stumped when I asked them about their 3-year career aspirations. One woman explained it to me like this. I was brought up to think about the overall well-being of the entire group. It feels selfish to think about me and my career aspirations. My parents never wanted me to think like that. Many Asian women, especially early on in their careers, get the job done, work hard, and say yes to whatever task the boss assigns. The assumption is that this behavior will get you noticed, recognized, and rewarded. It's what worked in school. Remember, we're highly educated. It's what we were taught. None of us wanted to be that nail that gets hammered down. But unfortunately, that's not how corporate America works, as shown by the dismal number of Asian American women in the top positions. Here's what you do about it. You start advocating for what you want. This is the advice I gave those Asian women on my team and which I give to some of my coaching clients. First, understand what parts of your job fulfill you. Right now, think back to your last work week and consider what activities give you energy and get you in a state of flow. Do you get energy from writing code, crafting a presentation storyline, or maybe researching legal briefs? Do you get energy from collaborating with certain types of people? Consider these hours you spend at work and consider what ones of these enliven you and charge your batteries. Next, start advocating for more of these energizing activities. Have a conversation with your boss and tell them about the work that you do best. Set some boundaries. Let's play with some experiments and say no to the work that drains you. Strategy 2, find your people. When you're part of the minority at work, it's natural to feel imposter syndrome and wonder if you really belong here. What helps is finding 2 groups of people to help you. The first is your allies. This is where you look for people similar to you. I recently spoke with a Chinese-American venture capitalist who founded the Global Women in Venture Fund. Within this group of CEO and co-founders, these women were used to standing out. As entrepreneurs, they'd built their careers out of being singular, to stand out, to be different. It's the path of a lonely warrior. Yet when they finally found themselves in a room with other women like them within this global women in venture community, there's a feeling of, this is nice. That letting go, that soft sigh, that ability to put down those boxing gloves for just a minute. That's the feeling of finding your tribe and feeling like you belong. The second group of people is your allies. This is where you look for people different than you for diversity of thought. I spoke with a Thai engineering leader about mentorship. She found the most confident white man she knew and asked him to be her mentor because it's mind-blowing how differently they think. At the end of the mentorship, she realized, I never want to lead like that. Yet through working with him, she learned how to lead without cheating who I am. Goosebumps, right? Some women do this by creating a personal board of directors, by assembling a group of diverse advisors to surround yourselves with different perspectives. So finding your people is about finding your allies who are similar to you and finding your tribe who's similar to you and finding your allies who are different than you. Both matter. And this message isn't just for Asian women. It's for anyone who wants to be a better leader. Strategy 3, claim your differences. Make these values your strengths. When listening to this talk, it can seem that lineage values might be holding some Asian women back, that being a quiet leader, listening first, or thinking communally might be weaknesses in a corporate workplace. Yet the strongest reclaiming of heritage is to take these perceived weaknesses and reclaim them as strengths. One of my clients, Soraya, is a first-generation Indian American. She was brought up with a lot of respect for her elders, and that translates to doing a lot of listening. Soraya ran a large product org, and she was known for her consensus building and her ability to get all these wildly opinionated stakeholders on the same page. Nobody else led like her. She was the only one capable of getting her company's largest, most complicated project to completion. Her consensus building and her empathy were her superpowers. Many Asian women don't feel like we fit into the standard leadership styles of corporate America, where what's celebrated is having the loudest voice, being unafraid to interrupt others, and becoming effortlessly brilliant with an answer on your feet. that doesn't typically correspond to Asian cultural values. Yet, like Soraya, what we think of as a weakness is actually our greatest source of strength. You might not be a quiet leader like Soraya. I certainly wasn't. As a creative director at world-class design firms, I put on this bravado, this armor of performance and expertise. I did it because that's how all the other male creative directors around me led. But it wasn't good enough. Having this leadership style come from a woman of color felt off to many clients. But more importantly, it was my armor. It wasn't me. It wasn't until years later where I felt comfortable enough to soften into a leadership style of candor and compassion that my career soared. I needed to tap into my Thai self with the gentle laugh and genuinely caring smile of a culture that says, "Jai yen yen," keep a cool heart, while also being fiercely direct. So claiming your differences is about looking at values from when you grew up that might have been discarded in the midst of corporate culture. It's making your otherness your strength. We've talked about moving from humility to advocacy, finding your people, and making your otherness your strength. I spent many years downplaying my race. Remember that banana? And then fighting for feminism. I've now learned that my leadership needs to incorporate all aspects of my identity and also the system we live in, because we live in a system of unconscious bias where well-meaning strangers will ask me, "Where are you really from?" with San Francisco not being an acceptable answer. Or where traits in a woman are called aggressive when these very same traits are called assertive in a man. Or where there's a belief that Asian women should be submissive and compliant. These 3 strategies applies to everyone who identifies as an other. You see, we're all in this system together, and we can dismantle the stereotypes they see of us. We can be hardworking and outspoken. We can be quiet leaders and advocate for ourselves and our teams. We can step into our integrated leadership that honors our lineage and succeed in workplaces not built with us in mind. This is how we reclaim our leadership as an other. Thank you.